it has all backfired for Meghan Markle. So here's where we're at. Us Magazine has released the most astonishing new report, which I'm going to go into in just a moment, briefed entirely by Meghan and her team, trying to say she's the loveliest woman in the world. Who knows why nearly 40 staff members have left her employ and called her a dictator in high heels in the Hollywood Reporter. It's all lies. She's actually the nicest person you could ever work for. But within hours of that cover being released, the Daily Beast is out with a bombshell, damning new report, which I'm going to take you through now. And it is headlined, "Former employees of demon boss Meghan Markle recall psycho moments." So remember, this has only now been released because of the fact that Meghan tried too hard to release her propaganda in Us Weekly magazine. So this is a courtier speaking to the Daily Beast who worked directly with Meghan during her time in the royal family. There definitely were bad, very bad, even psycho moments. I witnessed people being chewed up in person and over the phone and made to feel like shit. So that is from someone who worked with her within the royal family. And of course, we know at that time there were formal bullying allegations being made. Then another person who worked with Meghan in the run-up to her wedding told the Daily Beast, "I always thought she was a classic narcissist, and getting her staff to tell a magazine how amazing she is only confirms that in my mind. She is lovely when it is all going her way, but a demon when the worm turns." And there's even more detail in this new Daily Beast story. Like a florist who was screamed at down the phone for half an hour after they posted an insignificant detail online about a bouquet they were working on for Meghan without identifying that Meghan was the client. And according to the source, they vowed never to work with her again, despite the prestige of having her as a client. If you were working for her, you were often treated like a tradesman who could be treated like shit.
All right, folks. Get ready, because Meghan Markle's latest PR move just backfired in the most spectacular way possible. This is a full-on disaster for Team Sussex. So Meghan's team tried to push this ridiculous US Weekly article, basically claiming she's the greatest boss in the world. You know, just casually ignoring the fact that nearly 40 employees have left working for her. But here's where it gets hilarious. Within hours, the Daily Beast comes out with a bombshell report, where former staffers call Meghan a demon and psycho. I mean, you literally cannot make this up.
So this is an absolutely damning new expose in the Daily Beast, Calvin Robinson. What do you make of it?
That's not surprising. I mean, I wouldn't want to work for Meghan Markle myself. The thing with these narcissists is they want to control their image so badly. So it's no surprise she's got her own people writing to the magazine. It's very similar to what Prince Harry did. Was it last week or the week before when we found out that he was a source for People magazine? It's like they've constantly got to control their narrative. So the left are obsessed with controlling the narrative. Just let the truth fall where it falls. Let people make their own minds up for themselves. But of course, they don't want people to make their own minds up. They want us to be seen as, well, for Meghan Markle, she wants to be seen as this perfect, like, human being. She's obviously a very flawed character. I pray for her. I hope that she finds some kind of peace, that she can step away from the limelight for a bit, grow as a person, and just be done with all of this faffing about and dragging down the British royal family and just the horrible abuse to her staff. Just put it all aside and focus on growing as an individual, hopefully growing Christ. But do something, Meghan.
Yeah, she really does need to, because the problem is, Father Calvin, her behavior is catching up on her. And when people see her lying so egregiously, of course they're going to come back with the truth. And so these lies were told on the cover of Us Weekly magazine. What's interesting about this is the editor of Us Weekly is a guy called Dan Wakeford. He is actually a Brit, but he was previously the editor of People magazine when People ran the report that ended up in court, Calvin. You probably remember that, where all of Meghan's friends were saying she's a wonderful woman, and Meghan denied that she had anything to do with the report, but of course she did. So that is the man behind this Us magazine cover. Now, Us posted on X late last night after a recent report branded Meghan Markle as Duchess difficult. Current and former staff members have gone on the record with us about what it's really like to work for Meghan and Prince Harry. Go inside the Sussex empire in our new cover story. And then Dan Wakeford released this extraordinary video backing up his so-called scoop. Oh, sure they did. Sure they did. Calvin, do you buy any of that?
I'm sure they had a very positive experience providing those quotes to Us magazine. I'm sure they did that, yeah, too. I mean, it's all a bit of a joke, isn't it? The fact that people have come out and said, look, we did not enjoy it. It was horrible to work for her. We called her a Duchess dictator and whatever. And then they've had to come out and find people that will say the opposite just to balance it out. It's just sad. Just become a better person. Become a better boss. Be nicer to people so they don't say horrible things about you. Don't pay people to say nice things about you. That's slimy and it's quite sad.
Well, especially remembering this is a woman who has everything. Why does she have to treat people like that? She's got assistants who run around after her. She's got 16 bathrooms. I mean, it's particularly egregious. From a sort of strategic point of view, though, Calvin, it was really interesting. I was taken by a comment made by our mutual friend, Kinsey Schofield, who is the Californian-based royal commentator, who said, being destroyed in the Hollywood Reporter and trying to redeem yourself in Us Weekly is like the Wall Street Journal calling you out and thinking the National Enquirer will set the record straight. Because I think it is worth pointing out, Calvin, to people who maybe are not aware of these US publications, that Hollywood Reporter is highly credible. This is a news source for the entertainment industry. Now, of course, it's very woke, but that's what makes it so shocking and such a bombshell that the Hollywood Reporter has turned on Meghan in this way. But Us Weekly, they think they've got a big scoop, so Dan Wakeford had more to say about it. Watch this.
Lady C says it best. This is Meghan's worst PR failure yet. She tried too hard to control the narrative and now it's all coming out. And now let's get into the real tea because Meghan's ex-staff are not holding back. They're finally telling the truth about what it was really like working for her. One former royal aide literally said Meghan would tear into people over the phone and in person, making them feel like garbage. But sure, Meghan, tell us again how you're the nicest boss ever? And get this. A florist who was working on Meghan's wedding says she screamed at them for half an hour over the phone because they posted an insignificant detail about a bouquet. No names, no royal secrets, just a generic flower post. And Meghan lost it. She made sure they never worked with her again.
Oh God, Calvin, some of these quotes are so cringe. Like I'm just reading the story. And they say, oh, no, she's not nasty. She's not horrible. She doesn't yell. But then this is how they describe her. She gives clear direction and is solution orientated. I mean, it's hardly a ringing endorsement, is it? According to Taz, the royal YouTuber, wrote, Archewell staff fight back. Staff have said that the couple are dedicated, hardworking, who look after them like their own children. They water the seeds so staff can flourish. They give them expensive gifts, plan karaoke and Hollywood parties, give them fruit, eggs and flowers and skin kits. The best bosses I've ever had, said one source. And then she said, hi, Meghan. Nice try. And that's the thing that's just extraordinary about this, isn't it? That the fact that they are having to actually do this formally, even though there's no justification, Calvin, as why did Josh Kettler leave as your chief of staff after less than 3 months, an appointment that was heralded? Why have up to 40 staff members left your employ? Look, Calvin, we know, don't we, that 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 people leaving over a period of time makes a lot of sense. People have disagreements, whatever, but this is actually endemic in terms of how Meghan Markle works.
I mean, a lot of those quotes sound like, you know, when someone asks you to give them a job reference and you don't really want to give them a glowing one, so you just kind of put something in there. They're solution oriented. They provide solution. It reads like that. It's not a very good.
It does. It's quite coded, isn't it? It's quite.
Yes.
It's quite coded. Like, actually, she's really horrible, but I have to say she's nice.
Yeah, that's the key. I have to say that. And actually, you know, I don't know the ins and outs of these publications. I don't know if US Weekly is any better than People, is any better than any of these. But what I do know is that all of them have something to gain if they side with the Markles rather than expose the truth. I don't know Dan Wakeford. I don't know what the deal is with him and the Markles, but I assume, Dan, you can tell me if this is the way it works, that if he puts a glowing cover story of her, she'll become more of a regular source for him and have much more interesting content for his publication.
Absolutely. No, you completely summed it up, because I do know how this works from my former life, and I know the personalities involved. And basically, Dan Wakeford left People magazine to go and set up a website called The Messenger, which flopped, it tanked. He was out of a job. So now he's gone to Us Weekly, and he's trying to turn Us Weekly into the new People magazine. Well, who are People magazine's #1 source? Harry and Meghan. People magazine even admitted the other day that Harry had sent them directly his own quotes to include into the article. So this is Dan Wakeford saying, oh, no, you don't want to go to People magazine. At Us Weekly, we are going to be slavishly positive towards you. So there is a PR game in all of this, but it does show how the mighty have fallen, Calvin, because these were people who had an opportunity to change the world, and now they're desperately signing up former staff members to talk to Us Weekly and say, oh, Meghan gives us eggs from her chicken after we leave her house. I mean, this is a disaster. However you look at it, this is a disaster. And it is sad, because they had so many opportunities to genuinely change the world, but they were just not nice enough to do it, Calvin.
At this point, it's no wonder that nearly 40 staffers have quit working for Meghan. No one wants to deal with this kind of toxic behavior. Now let's talk about Hollywood. Because if Meghan thought she could escape these stories and run to LA for a fresh start, bad news, sweetheart, it's getting worse. According to insiders, producers, agents, and A-list stars are keeping their distance, because nobody wants to deal with this level of drama. And when even Hollywood thinks you're a nightmare, that's saying something. A top PR expert just said that this is a major disaster for Meghan's brand. Why? Because people are already skeptical of her, and now, this just confirms everything. And then we have Father Calvin Robinson, who basically says, nobody is shocked by this. Because let's be honest, we've been hearing these stories for years. Father Calvin nails it. Meghan's PR team can't bury this anymore. The truth is finally coming out, and there's no stopping it now. At this point, she knows the game is up. And if more people start talking, it's only going to get worse. So here's the question. Is this Meghan's worst PR disaster yet? Because let's be real, this wasn't just a bad headline. This was a full-blown PR nightmare. No. Hollywood is turning on her. The royals want nothing to do with her. And even her former staff are finally telling the truth.
Make a good point. When I think about what did the late Lady Diana do, she helped AIDS victims. You know, she sat there with victims of landmines. Like, she was out there with good causes. When I think, what has Meghan Markle done? It's always been about her.
Yes.
Never about the cause. That's an interesting sign that someone is a narcissist. It's not a good thing. She needs to stop focusing on herself.
You're so right. I mean, Diana was 36 years old when she died in that car crash in Paris, and she did change the world. She changed the way that we viewed AIDS. She changed the way that we viewed bulimia. She changed the way that we viewed homelessness, and she changed the way that she viewed landmines. Now, all of Harry and Meghan's enterprises, as you say, it's about them. And I want to show you the speech that Prince Harry has given in the past few hours in New York, because, again, he looks like what he's doing is making a point about social media being bad for kids. But actually, the coded message behind this is that he doesn't like social media because the trolls are really nasty to him. Watch this. But Calvin, he is being completely disingenuous, because this is all about the globalists and the Aspen Institute, who, guess what, want to remove free speech online, who want to regulate the internet. And this is the problem. He hides behind the fact, oh, I'm doing this for the kids. But it's not about that. There's actually something very sinister behind what he claims he's trying to achieve.
Yeah, I don't blame him, because I don't think he's particularly smart. So I think he just kind of does what he's told and says what he's told to say.
People pulling the strings, yeah.
Right, and it's a great shame, because he could be speaking up for important things if he had a bit to him to decide and discern what is important to speak on. And parental rights is a good thing, and I think he's kind of lost his way. It's unfortunate. And these people that want to censor the internet and silence people who are against the approved narrative, they are a threat. And the left will say all day long that certain people are a threat to democracy, but actually, mostly it's them. Mostly it's the people that want to censor people that are a threat to democracy.
So where does she go from here? And let's not forget, social media is dragging her for this. People are laughing at the US Weekly cover, calling it the most obvious PR stunt ever. This is beyond damage control at this point. Alright folks, if you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button, subscribe for more, and let's get the conversation going. Do you think Meghan's career can survive this PR disaster? Or is this the beginning of the end? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.